Hey running friends, Wrinkled Runner here. Are you looking for great foods to help fuel your runs? On today's video, we're going to be making a recipe from the book Run Fast, Cook Fast, Eat Slow by 2017 New York City Marathon winner Shalane Flanagan and nutrition coach Elyse Kopecky. So stay tuned. So we have a special guest today, my daughter-in-law Emilie. She's a vegetarian. I'm always looking for main dishes that I can make for her that don't include meat. So the recipe from the cookbook fits the bill. I'll be reviewing the book in a few weeks, so hit subscribe so you don't miss it. All of the things in this salad are great for fueling without meat. The pasta has carbs, of course, and there's plenty of protein and vitamins with the beans and veggies. Good fat comes from the olive oil, feta, and Kalamata Olives, and the miso is great for gut health since it's a fermented food. If you want meat, you can add some broiled, baked, or grilled chicken, or check out the bonk burgers in the cookbook. One thing about this book, you won't find calorie counts. The running community in general is really trying to get away from creating and contributing to disordered eating, and this book takes the next step by not listing the calories. The approach that you should be able to eat well and fuel your runs and maintain a healthy weight without going nuts over calorie counting or staring at the number on the scale, which can make or break your day, is helping to keep runners healthy physically and mentally. And the reality is, if a runner is underfueling to obsession, that's not physically healthy either. So we're going to need 8 ounces of pasta. I'm going to have Emilie add that to the boiling water. And while that boils, we're gonna cut up some veggies. So you need a head of broccoli, but I just bought a package, and we're gonna cut these up into bite-sized pieces. And let's see, I'm gonna have you do that. Okay. And then I'm going to be cutting in half a pint of, the recipe calls for cherry tomatoes, but I'm using grape tomatoes. So Emilie is a runner, and she was training for a marathon a few years ago. And I was going to talk to her about why she ended up not being able to run this marathon. So Emilie, go ahead and tell that story.
Well, see, I trained very poorly. So I signed up for the marathon maybe 2 months before it came around. It was like June of 2018. I think I started in April. So I was trying to get all my miles in each week, like as fast as possible. So one day I was running and I decided to do like a 14-mile run, which I killed it, by the way. But it was like a hot day. I didn't really stretch. I wasn't being very good about stretching. My nutrition wasn't great either. I just really promised my friend that I would run this thing with him. And so I did my run. And then later on that day, my husband and I went to this Asian restaurant. We ate. I was sitting for maybe like an hour and a half. And as soon as I stood up, my feet were numb. And I completely destroyed my ankle. And I was on the floor, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And obviously I was not. So my husband runs out of the restaurant, and I'm like crawling to the door to get out of there because it's so embarrassing. And so it's safe to say I didn't run that one. So learn from my mistake. And train properly. Train maybe like a year out and not 2 months before, because you're gonna hurt yourself.
Especially if that is the first time you are doing that distance, you do need to put in the training time.
Yeah, and I hadn't done a half marathon before either, so this was a bit too much.
So a lot of us, we do tend to not train well for different things like that. I remember the first time my husband and we did our first half marathon. And we hadn't really researched it. We just figured, oh, well, we run, about 6 miles, so we'd be fine running about 13 miles. And so we ended up signing up for our first half marathon, I think 5 weeks or 5 or 6 weeks before that happened. And I would never recommend that. We ended up running it, but I remember halfway, well, it was towards the end, I think, and my legs, we stopped to take a water break, and my legs literally froze. They would not, I couldn't take another step. And so I ended up having to pick up my leg and throw it in front of me in order for me to get going again. And we ended up finishing, but yeah, we learned that probably was not a very smart thing to do. So 2 minutes before the pasta is done, you'll add the broccoli into the pot of boiling water to cook that a bit. Meanwhile, we're gonna get set up to do the lemon miso dressing. We're gonna do that in this handy, it's from Pampered Chef. I don't think they make it anymore, but you can find things like this on Amazon. It's a dressing maker and it has a emulsifier thing in it, and I love to use it to make my dressing. So I'm gonna have you chop up the lemons and make the juice and juice those. So you're gonna need half a cup of extra virgin olive oil, and so that's 4 ounces, and this has a nice ounce thing on it. So we'll just pour that into here. And then we're going to add all the ingredients on top of that. And while I'm just cutting up the lemons and juicing those, I'm going to get out the miso paste. So we're using this mellow white miso paste, which is what they recommend in the cookbook. I got this from Whole Foods, but basically any place nowadays does have the miso. So you're gonna need 2 teaspoons of that, and I'm gonna put that right into the dressing maker. You're going to need 2 or 3 cloves of garlic added to it. I like a lot of garlic, so I did the 3 cloves, and we already minced that. But that will go right into the dressing.
How much lemon did we need?
1/3 of a cup. Wow, you got a lot. How much did you get on it? Oh, you got exactly 1/3.
Perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, you can dump that in there. We're also gonna need sea salt and pepper. So I'm just gonna grind the pepper into the dressing right here. Says about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Just gonna do that by feel here. And then half of a teaspoon of sea salt. I have some gray sea salt, and I'm gonna add some of that. This actually is a bigger, so it adds a little bit of crunch, which I like. So then with the emulsifier, you can just go up and down with this, and it mixes everything up nicely. And especially with dressings that have oil in it and something like vinegar or lemon with the acid, this will mix it up really, really nicely. So I'm gonna pop that in the fridge while we finish making the salad itself. So we also need 4 ounces of baby spinach, but Emilie, over there I have a bag, and I think it is 5 ounces, right?
Yep, 5.
But that's fine, we're gonna just use that. Okay, so in our bowl, add the spinach. And the tomatoes, which are now all over the counter. We're gonna throw in the garbanzo beans, or chickpeas, whatever you call them. We're going to add the pasta and the broccoli. There's some feta cheese. Now, I have some feta all crumbled up, but Emilie doesn't like cheese. So we're not gonna add the feta to the salad, because this is actually going to be her dinner tonight, because we're having smoked pork. But, so I'm not gonna add the feta, but there is feta that actually goes into the salad. So I'm gonna grab my salad hands, and I'm gonna have you mix it all up.
Okay.
As best as you can without throwing it around the counter. You haven't always been a vegetarian, right?
No, I grew up eating meat.
Okay. And how did you, and why did you become vegetarian?
I think it all started in high school, really. I always questioned why I was eating it. It wasn't for like ethical reasons at the time, that came later. But I never really liked chicken, I never really liked steak. I really only liked corned beef ever.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I guess that's kind of an odd one. And then once college came around, I think it was the spike of social media, honestly. Like when YouTube started getting big, I started finding like all these vegan like YouTubers, right? And I guess I slightly got influenced by them. Like I liked eating things with lots of color, so it
Okay.
interested me to like eat like purple cabbage, and I've never heard of seitan before, and just all these different foods.
Huh.
It kind of created a whole new world for me, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was more interested in food than I ever was before.
Oh,
And then like the ethical stuff came later.
okay.
Like I never really knew about like industrial farming and where our food came from. And then I started digging deeper into that, and I started getting more into nutrition. And then I was vegan for a few years, and I really liked it. It worked well for me.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Then I went vegetarian when I got pregnant.
Yes, you can. We can hear the product of that pregnancy. You're right about the different colors of the food, you know, the vegetables and things like that, and you can get your nutrition. Even as a runner, you can get the protein and the things that you need if you're eating smartly as a
Oh,
vegetarian.
totally, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my big issue with meat was that whenever I ate, Marlee, please. I think my big issue with meat at the time was whenever I ate it, I felt like there was always like a rock in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Like the digestion just wasn't, it never worked for me for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah.
But once I started eating plants, like,
It was
yeah,
better.
it was way better.
Oh, wow.
So much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel sick anymore, and I wasn't so lethargic every time I ate, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was just a lot better for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
I mean, there are a ton of things that you have to like take into account when you have that kind of diet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because B12 is a nutrient that's really only found in animal products. A lot of times, if you don't get it, you can become anemic, or
Oh,
it's
okay.
just, yeah, you need
Okay.
it.
So yeah, so you do it. You've learned to do it smartly,
Yeah.
so that you're
Like, you
getting
need-
what you need.
Yeah, like you need vitamins on the side, and you need your proteins, you need like your seitan, your tofus, your lentils.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, make sure you're taking calcium.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add the dressing now, and then your dinner will be all ready to go. All right, we'll emulsify this a little bit more and then pour it on and mix it up, and we'll have dinner. The lemon miso dressing really makes this salad different than most veggie pasta salads. And we make this to round out our dinners, even if Em isn't coming over. We are sure happy when we can share it with her. YouTube videos come out every Wednesday, and next week I'll be talking about the top 10 posts from the Wrinkled Runner website. I'll have links to every one, so hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Check out the description below for any posts and links we've included for today's video. And you can sign up for the Wrinkled Runner newsletter, which comes out once a month. It talks about all the different things that are going on here on the YouTube channel, over on the Wrinkled Runner blog, and now the podcast. Thanks to Emilie for joining me today, and my granddaughter Marlee. If you'd like Em to be in some more videos, say so in the comments. You can email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com for any running related questions. I try to help everyone who asks for it. Until next Wednesday, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the run.
Thanks for having me. Say bye.
Say bye.